I saved the best for last because the Twitch community, these esports players, have been a massive driver for us.
He's wired in. Sorry? He's wired in.
Is he?
Yes.
How about now? You're still wired in?
Welcome to New Kids on the Block.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of New Kids on the Block, presented by In Their 20s. I'm your host, Landon Campbell. Thank you so much for the amazing feedback for episode 1 with Blake Michael. Glad to see that everybody is enjoying the show so far. Understand that we have another jam-packed episode for you today. This episode is also on the creator economy. We're going to be speaking with my good friend, Casey Adams. He's the co-founder and CEO of Media Kits. Think about Media Kits as your digital resume for creators. They combine all your social data, your followers, your engagement, your impressions, and they add it to a very organized Media Kit, which is why it's called Media Kit. Before Media Kits existed, if you were a creator and you wanted a deal with a brand, you'd have to screenshot all your followers and create a spreadsheet. Things like this would take so much time for creators and influencers. Now, Media Kits exists. It's an awesome product. Proud to say that I was one of the first podcasters to join the platform. I'm very bullish on what Casey's building, and he is a very well-known influencer and creator himself. So we're going to be able to dive in to his thoughts on the creator economy, what he's building at Media Kits, and his advice for attracting investors. So this is episode 2 of New Kids on the Block. If you were to describe Media Kits in a sentence or two, or if you need more, that's totally fine. But what would you say?
I would say for Media Kits, it's the easiest way to aggregate cross-platform data and analytics for creators.
I love that. It's literally a digital resume for creators. So let's talk briefly about what you were doing prior to creating Media Kits and like help our audience understand like what led you to creating this company, the challenges that you had to deal with as a creator.
Yeah, I've been a creator since I was 17, mainly through my podcast, The Casey Adams Show. And, I've hosted it now for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years this December. And, Media Kits was both me and my partner having different instances of dealing with the hardships of creating a media kit, where historically a media kit, you have to build it on Canva or Photoshop, and it takes a couple hours, screenshot data. So, over the years of being a creator, I either have been pitched many times of guests trying to be on my show and they'll send me media kits, or vice versa. If I'm looking to work with a brand and I have to pitch my media kit, there was always just this dynamic of, hey, why do I have to keep updating my media kit? And why isn't there a way to create a easily updated cross-platform dynamic media kit? And then why isn't there a way for trusted data that brands can validate and view? But, some of the hardships over the course of time were just that one simple thing. Media kit's not updating in real time, having to go back and update it as my brand's changing and going back on Canva, downloading it as a PDF, attaching it in an email, not just making it one simple link. But the whole idea for it stemmed from one of my good friends, Jeff, or his name's JR Garage on YouTube. He's a big automotive YouTuber. And one day he called up my business partner, Kieran, and he was frantically saying, hey, Pennzoil reached out to me. They want to do a brand deal. Can you go make me a media kit? Because he knew that we were both in the marketing and branding world. And we ended up making him one, sent it to him, he got the deal. And then 3 weeks later, he comes back to us again, frantically saying, guys, Ferrari contacted me. They want to fly me down to Daytona Beach, Florida. They asked me for my media kit. Can you go back and update it? This whole problem just kept coming up, and we really started to ideate on it, and no one has done it the way we thought it should be done. So a couple of years of ideation, and COVID started happening in 2020, and there was no other perfect time but then to launch something like Media Kits in the creator economy, and we were just off the races.
Totally, man. It's a genius idea. I've told many creators in my circle who, have 10 times more followers than me, and then also maybe that are on my level, to use Media Kits because it's a wonderful resource. I want to dive into the creator economy a little bit. This is something that you've been hyper focused on since you were 17 years old. I think that the creator economy has evolved a lot, where maybe when you got started, it was just a lot of people posting, but now it's that coupled with people trying to turn their brands into full scale media companies themselves. We see FaZe Clan just went public. Look at what the Pauls are doing, Mr. Beast. What's like a favorite insight of yours that you speak to people about, that you're really paying close attention to in the creator economy? Like, how big do you think this opportunity will and can get?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that question. One thing that I always like to go off of is a report that came out last year, just talking about how there's over 50 million creators that consider themselves creators full time.
Wow.
And in that article, the creator economy is not only a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, but it's growing year over year. And I think the most important thing that I've noticed over the course of time, since 2017 specifically, is that it's only gotten more serious. And like, yes, you can follow the numbers, but even just looking at the creators, people are taking it more seriously. The creators popping up out of nowhere are, not only just looking to do this to hopefully go viral, but to build a business. So it's one thing to look at the business side and the numbers of, the creators are growing. But if you take a step back, which I tend to do a lot, and talk to the creators and really put your boots on the ground like we do at Media Kits. We have over 25,000 creators on our platform.
That's
We're
amazing,
talking every day. And I think the most important thing is people are taking this very serious, and this is their career goal. And if you talk to enough creators, you start to really understand, like, wow, this isn't just a flash in the pan. Like, people are, again, not only taking this extremely serious, but the opportunity's there. It's growing day by day. I think there was just like a creator census that came out, and this whole idea of the creator economy inflation, right? Where there's over 39,000 or 36,000 accounts on TikTok with over 1 million followers, which is more than Instagram, which is more than YouTube. And, they talked about this idea of, there's too many creators, or there's an inflation happening in the creator economy. I mean, the reality is TikTok created such an opportunity for everyone to not only build a brand, but a potential business. But I think the true difference and what's going to make or break certain creators versus others is just their commitment to it. Because typically, if you're someone that's just going to launch a startup or launch a business, you're very just business focused, and then you get the marketing, the branding, everything else comes about it. Where I think as a creator, you have to think about it differently, where you are the business. That quote from Jay-Z, you're not a businessman, you are a
businessman. Yeah.
And I think that creators have to triple down on the content aspect while also juggling this business aspect. And I think that working with great people and having great people on your team is what is really going to create the winners long term. And whether that's, just your good friends or your family members, whoever it is, I think doing it alone as a creator is hard long term. And you see, biggest creators in the world have the best teams, but that was built over time. And you really have to be committed to your craft and committed for the long term.
Totally. Yeah. 50 million people consider themselves creators. I see that quote a lot. I think that number is going to continue to grow. People trust people. And I don't think you need to have the biggest following in the world as well to be a creator. I think we're going to see a lot of people becoming creators in the future, sharing products that they use, services that they use, and they should be compensated for that, especially if they're proud to rep and support a brand. So let's talk about this now from the perspective of the brand, because I understand you just said, very well said, that creators are starting to take this way more seriously now. They want to get better deals. They want to be able to showcase their work in a more efficient way, which is why they're using Media Kits. But from the brand perspective, as a creator yourself and also working with thousands and thousands of creators, are they also starting to take creators more seriously? And what are some of the things that they want in the creators that they work with?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, the simple answer is yes. I think if you're any type of brand, direct to consumer, a software company, whatever it may be, you understand that being on social media for your company and the brand is just inevitable. If you're not there, you're at a massive disadvantage. But then most importantly, to your question, understanding on these platforms, right? Like, the attention is because of the creators, right? Like, the creators putting out content is the only reason these platforms are thriving at the end of the day, right? And every business owner that is looking to not only become successful or looking to grow, you understand that, as you said, you have to focus on your customers. And at the end of the day, those are people. But now you have these creators that are not only going to be massive players with, the word of mouth, organic marketing, but there's an arbitrage happening where you see, brands like Fashion Nova and some of the largest brands that have really leveraged creators. They created a real blueprint. And I think there's been a lot of companies over the years that I've spoken to firsthand that might have had a bad taste with influencer marketing. They didn't do it right because it wasn't proven out. But if you really crack the code, and I don't have the perfect formula for anyone, but I think brands now, using tools like Media Kits and other tools that are out there, being able to see like hashtag paid and being able to vet creators and the work that they've done with brands and vice versa, or being able to see transparent data from a creator instead of relying on a creator just talking numbers over
Sending
email
screenshots and
sending screenshots. You don't know if it's photoshopped
exactly.
or there's nothing really verified there. I
Mm-hmm.
think that brands, same thing, and I don't want to say the same answer, but I think brands are taking it more seriously, and they have been for the last 5 years. And I think anyone that is in this business world or a creator economy would agree with me there, where brands know it's important. If you're a brand, you're most likely trying to work with influencers or thinking about creator campaigns or organic product placement, sending out products to TikTokers to hopefully have them make a video. Like, these are all thoughts that go through, I'm sure, a lot of business owners' heads. And if it's not, it's going to happen here soon. To your point though, brands are taking it more seriously. And yes, you could, read about this in an article, but if you're a business owner, ask yourself, like, if you look at a creator in the whole space, would you rather be working with creators that have a massive audience that knows them, that likes them, and that trusts them, or not? And I think a majority of people would say absolutely. There's a huge opportunity there. And I think that tools like Media Kits and all of the other creator economy tools that are looking to build resources to make this process easier, it's a massive opportunity. And the framework is being laid day by day, year by year. And it's just the beginning. And, creator influencer marketing has been around for a while now, in the grand scheme of things, not long at all. But, there's proven track records of it working. There's more creators than ever. Creators are taking it more seriously. And I think that default brands are going to continue leveraging creators in a positive way, working with them. And, we'll see how that plays out. But I think everyone that is building in this space, including myself and our team at Media Kits, is beyond bullish on what the opportunity at hand is.
Totally. And I love that you guys are big supporters of transparency as well, because I love the point when you made that a lot of, stuff that I've seen in the past where a lot of brands, like, they want to work with influencers and creators, but it was so difficult for a long time to actually see, as someone who, was working with a brand that would hire influencers in the past, it was difficult to actually see what was legit and not legit, versus some creators just saying they have this big audience, but how are you able to prove it? So I want to really dive into the product now. Super cool to hear about the traction. Congratulations. Let's learn a little bit more about who the users are of Media Kits. I understand you guys have influencers, artists, but also athletes, podcasters, streamers. I'm very proud to say I think I'm one of the first podcasters to sign up for Media Kits. Right when I saw you post about it, I signed up before you guys even had any resources for podcasters. So I've been a big supporter of you for a while, man, and what you're building here. Let's really learn more about the users. What are some interesting use cases that you didn't see coming up when you guys built the product, and who is really enjoying the product the most?
Absolutely. So, the whole idea for Media Kits, when we launched it, we knew there was more than just one use case, right? Like, we say it's the easiest tool for creators. And, if you dive into the word creator, we think about podcasters. That stemmed from my background, podcasters, musicians, and really musicians, because historically in the music space, musicians use EPKs, electronic press kits, and in the media world, use a press kit to pitch a story. And it all ties into this thesis of what is a media kit, and it's your digital resume. And any person, brand, creator, musician, now athletes with the whole NCAA ruling, and even professional athletes, we've been very aware that there's many use cases, and it all funnels towards this higher level thought of a creator and someone that's putting out content on social and that's building a social audience at scale. And I think from the day we launched about a year ago, August 11th of 2021, we launched with 4 integrations. It was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And then in October of last year, we launched TikTok. And then this past February, we launched Twitch integration. And those 2 integrations really opened up our eyes to how creators are using the product. Because I remember the day we launched TikTok, we had more user signups than ever before. There was this natural kind of viral buzz within the TikTok community of these creators that were using the tool and sharing it with their friends. And the truth is, out of the 25,000 creators we have on the platform, I would say 95% of that is purely organic, where we haven't spent a dollar to acquire a user. And it's been based off of the word of mouth effect of creators sharing it with their friends, brands receiving media kits, and then telling their creators that they work with this, hey, we got this media kit, you should definitely check out this service. It's a great way to organize your data and pitch it to a brand like ourselves. So I would say the TikTok community has been loving it so much. And then I saved the best for last, because the Twitch community, these esports players, have been a massive driver for us, mainly from Twitter, ironically. And we've noticed that, and personally, I didn't have much of a background in Twitch. I was never a streamer. But what I've learned over these past 6 months is not only does the Twitch community have such a passionate following, but the Twitch streamers are putting in so much work. Every creator puts in a lot of work, but the Twitch streamers that are going live, you have to really be in front of the camera and build a community through being live, not creating different videos and making them perfect and then putting it out. And they talk a lot on Twitter. They praise things they love, whether that's another streamer or a product like media kits. I remember in, what is it, July now, back in April, over the course of the month, we had like 25,000 organic mentions on Twitter. And that was mainly through Twitch streamers and sharing it and having a couple of viral tweets of people tagging their favorite streamer. And, to your question of what really opened our eyes, like, we knew streamers were going to be a big opportunity for us, but it was a bigger opportunity and continues to be as we see that market. And, if I think about the future, what we're truly excited about is not only to service the creators we're currently working with, but we think that the athletic world, really diving into that college athlete, professional athlete world, is going to be super interesting, and aggregating data from different data points there. And then musicians, a media kit is used so often in the music space, and we have a lot of cool investors that have a music background that, that's why they got involved, because they use media kits very frequently. So we're excited about those two avenues, and, we're going to continue to hopefully see how the product is used in different ways. But, it goes back to our thesis that this tool is utilized in many different ways, and we're just extremely, disciplined about listening to our users and really understanding what they want.
Yeah, I just love that you're saving people so much time, because, whether you're a college athlete or a musician that's on the road, you want to do these brand deals, but you're just saving people so much time, because this is updated daily or weekly, depending on the membership tier that you have with Media Kits. So I think that's a really powerful resource for the users that use the platform. So I want to talk briefly about competitors. Obviously, you guys saw this early, which is why you probably got the name Media Kits before anybody else did. But are you starting to see other people replicate the idea, maybe other companies starting to explore a tool like this?
Yeah, I would say, at the end of the day, I think competition in business is what makes it so great, right? What we have noticed, and I don't need to talk too depth in names and everything, but there's a lot of companies out there. I shouldn't say a handful of companies that have launched media kit tools that, only validate our bigger vision of becoming the authority in cross-platform data and analytics. And it's a lot of companies that have other product offerings that, we perceive it as they see what we've done, and they've seen it work, and it's a great top of funnel type of tool for them to acquire new users or creators. When for us, we've taken the opposite approach of, our media kit builder tool is our first and only product at the moment, and we're going all in and becoming the de facto media kit builder tool, the authority in this cross-platform data aggregation. And, hence, as you mentioned, that's why we call our company Media Kits, is because we're inch wide, mile deep, is what we like to say. And I think other competitors, it's just a product offering that they have, when for us, it's everything. So, it's cool to see. It's validated our initial idea, but, I think similar to the link in bio space, there's room for many people to have a piece of the pie, because brands are going to build certain communities, certain creators are going to resonate with certain brands more than others. And it's just up to us to keep building and doing what we're best at. And, that's what we're looking to do every single day.
I love that, man. That's really, really good advice there too. I want to end off the interview with another piece of advice for young founders looking to acquire investors early. Obviously, so much happens in the first few months of building a business, and you have this idea, you have to execute here, you have to find people to fund the company as well. But you have some wonderful strategic investors and also angels I've saw on the list on your website. What's your advice for acquiring investors and really like painting and showcasing what you're building?
Yeah. For me specifically, I can talk about it from my perspective. Like the way we've gone about initially raising our pre-seed round and having a lot of strategic there was just quality relationship building over time. And for me specifically, that has come through my podcast, right? And
Yep.
I've had my show for almost 5 years now. As I've said before, I've done just over 400 plus interviews. And I would say 95% of our initial investors were a byproduct of a podcast interview. And, some of the podcast interviews that I've had, those people that are investors introduced us to some friends of theirs that got involved. And, that's not going to be the path for everyone. That happened to just be the path for me. And, it doesn't have to be a podcast. I think for any young person that's looking to raise money, you have to put yourself out there. And whether that's cold pitching in an email to Mark Cuban or whomever it may be, or on the DMs, the only way you're gonna raise money from angel investors or a fund is not only pitching your vision, but you have to understand the relationship dynamic, where a warm intro to someone will go so far than versus a cold DM or a cold email. And yes, those things work, but for us, we had the privilege of having years of experience of building relationships, and I've hosted dozens of events over the past 4 or 5 years, and especially the podcast, where for me, setting up the initial pitch meetings and just getting not only the opportunity to pitch an investor, but true feedback. That was my whole pitch to a lot of the early investors that came on board is, I just wanted to get their thoughts, get them excited about it, hear feedback, and then obviously give them an opportunity to get involved if it was of interest. And I think that natural transition of knowing somebody, building with them over the course of time, creates opportunities that were, planted years ago when it comes to watering the seeds that you've planted over time. But not everyone's going to go launch a podcast, right? So you just have to think about ways to start meeting people, whether that's responding to people on Twitter, whether that's reading someone's book and sending them a thoughtful response to what you thought about it. Like, how can you start creating touch points with people that isn't just about asking for favors right away? Like, hey, can I pitch you my startup? But just bringing value, building relationships, and really putting yourself out there. I think that's the key to it all, and what builds the foundation for the opportunity to go out and raise a round for your startup.
Yeah, totally. You need to build the foundation first. I think that's something that a lot of young founders don't realize, that, as you said, Casey, like it's not just asking someone like today if you need to raise money tomorrow. Like, and it doesn't have to mean that you're building a podcast, but like, what are you doing months and even years prior to really start to build those relationships? Deliver value first before you ask. And maybe that person you ask will invest, might not invest, but they might be able to connect you with someone who's interested in investing. So you actually need to earn that trust before you approach an investor asking for money. So that's something that I hope more young people take to heart.
Yeah. And I think, that's just my experience. I think there's so many other ways where I myself, I'm not a developer, I'm not an engineer. So, for some people it's building something that catches traction and other people come to you, right? Like there's of course so many ways to go about it. I'm just speaking of my experience and something coming from a small town in Virginia with no relationships and no understanding of VC and business and tech. Like that was just my foundation that set me up for where Media Kids is today. But for everyone, it's going to be different, and you just got to find what works for you.
Totally. Well, dude, very impressed. I mean, you know how bullish I am on you and all your ideas. So this is super cool. I'm excited for our listeners to learn more about Media Kits, and just want to say thank you so much for joining the show, man.
Of course. Thank you, Landon.